My name is Günter Möller. I was born in 1970. I was 50 last year, and today this was my first tournament for the over 50. But this is only part of my boomerang life. I started in '83, 13 years old, when I found a little piece of information on boomerangs in a TV guide kind of magazine. It was a little two-blader. You were supposed to cut it out, put it on cardboard, then flip it and see it go somewhere. But I thought, wow, this thing is going somewhere. This is interesting. Let's make it a bigger one from wood. And so I found wood in my father's shed and I built just the thing much bigger, but I had no idea of the airfoil. So it just did the same thing. It went somewhere, but it was spinning, and the spinning itself somehow got me. The next year there was a TV report featuring Michael Ziem's Günter Veit and some other boomerang throwers on the 1st of April '84. And the TV people presented different reports, and you were supposed to guess which one is right and which one is April Fool's Day. And they presented it in a way that it was so obvious that this is right, and they even had the Günter Veit book, which I ordered on the very next day, together with two of my class. One is Peter Hansch, still known to a huge crowd of people, and we were in the same class making boomerangs in the 80s. The next year, in '85, I visited my first tournament, the German Nationals in '85 in Mainz. And this is where I met people like Michael Ziems and Günter Veit and some others. Some of them are no longer with us, but some others, they still throw with us. And there are huge names in the boomerang sport like Uli Konzelmann and Thomas Hartmann. They were all there. It was fantastic. I was hooked from the very first beginning, because on that tournament we had Jens Beermann and some others inviting the Australians over. So we actually met brother Brian Thomas and Peter Byam, Geoff Kennedy and these people. And this was just amazing. This was my start, and it was obvious there is no end coming up soon. The Tapia thing goes back to a young Günter looking for his place in the sport. All the cool guys had brand names for their boomerangs, and the good ones were taken, like Rangs Boomerangs, Peter Hansch, remember? And so what could I do? I tried different things like wombats or woodchucks, because I thought, hey, chuck a wood. Pretty clever, eh? Woodchuck boomerangs. And then I tried kookaburra and all these things, but on one of these weekends, when I went to Thorsten Friedrich to Hamburg, we went to the Hamburg Zoo, and at the Tapia sanctuary, we just couldn't believe what we saw. It was like the dinosaur sanctuary for mammals. Like, what is this thing? What is it doing? Just look at it. And I tried to learn more, and in the end it came out to be a parallel of boomerangs. Both have been around, tapirs and boomerangs, for quite a long time. People have known about it, they have a certain idea, but actually they don't know anything about it, and it's worth to know more. And then I started to call my boomerangs Tapir boomerangs. My tournament in the 90s was the Tapir Cup. In those tournaments in the early 90s, I came up with the Tapir Terror Round, because on a field like this, we couldn't do MTA in Dormagen or Aussie Round, so we tried. What did we do? I think we did juggling, and only Frido did well, so that was no fun. And in the end, I tried a different thing every year. I tried Style Outback, and then came up with this triathlon of 3 things to do. Do what you can do, only as quick as you can. And this, because it was first held at the Tapir Cup, was the Tapir Terror Round. Yeah, the scene was strong. In the 80s, there were a lot of people out there, and we had especially a lot of local clubs. There was a club in Nürnberg, and a strong club in Bielefeld, and something in Gießen around Alex Heckner and Thomas Schartowitz. Maybe that wasn't only the 80s, but also the 90s. But these local areas, not unlike the French, but sort of more working together and competing in a friendly basis, not fighting like in other nations sometimes. This was absolutely amazing. We had just think of Axel Heckner and what he did in one city, and we had more cities like that. And in the end of the 80s, we were organizing an idea, we were thinking of an idea, what happens if nations or if our tournaments are going too big. We had tournaments with a cutoff after the first day because there were too many people and only the top 40 were able to throw on the next day. I know because I was 41 and so I couldn't compete, or 43 or something. And we actually were afraid of our sport growing too much. That was really strange. Well, it was strange for us to see how it grew so well, but we were happy. And it's strange nowadays to look back at that time. Where were all the people coming from and where are they now? Amazing. It's a question I heard quite a few times, and after all these different variations of the answer, I still think that being friends for so many years before our first team is part of the answer. On my very first tournament, I met Thorsten Friedrich. That was in, like I said, in '85. And then 11 years after that, we had a team without Thorsten Friedrich, but with everybody else. We had Olli and Frido and Olli von Kempen and Gerrit Lemkau. And we did a photo where we had a spot free in the middle because we said, this is your spot, Thorsten, this could have been you. We were the people throwing together, training together. We spent weekends together and we just knew our boomerangs. When somebody went in the certain conditions to the bag, picking out a boomerang, we all knew, oh, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. And we could say, yeah, good choice, no good choice. And if you do that in a team cup, it helps quite a lot. I spoke today to a very good friend of mine holding the camera right now, and he said, making decisions is part of the sport. This is just a Barnaby thing to say. It's absolutely right. It's like watching others as part of your practice, like passive practice. I watch somebody, I learn, and we could do that with all the others because we knew each other that well. So if I look at personal scores and personal achievements, I think the one thing that I cannot forget is sitting in the tent during the individual days at the World Cup in Hamburg. And I felt so sore, but when I heard that MTA is coming up, I said, wow, MTA is fun. I go out and I just do what I can do in wind like this. I went to my circle and there was, for me, a new thrower, unknown, Yves Cazet, and he had 39 seconds or 41 seconds or something like that. And I thought, wow, when a nobody, sorry Yves, when a nobody has 40 something, what do the others have? So I went in the wind to the very first, to the end of the circle, threw as hard as I could, ran to the end, at the other end, downwind, caught it on the line and had 43.78, which was first place and world champion. And the third place was like 29 because people had nothing. But I didn't know because I sat in the tent all day. This is something really funny. The other thing is the one day when we were in Amstelveen and fast catch was the thing that you really trained hard. Everybody wanted that new record. And the conditions in Amstelveen were just perfect. Everyone was getting out the fastest boomerangs, but I didn't have one. So I asked Thorsten Friedrich for his fastest boomerang, which was a Dr. Friend Fast Catch 3, which was really new. But by minute was over. I got one more test throw, and that was pretty bad, but the round was pretty good. It was 17:09, and it was a new German record, and it held for 3 years. These two, plus of course all the Young Guns and Motions tournaments, how could I forget those? It's fantastic to go out with a team. But these two single events, plus of course there's more if I start like that. Aussie round in Brazil with, again, almost my practice time over. I got the boomerang, the fuzzy of Thomas Schartowitz, the one that he threw and the one that got him world champion in Kiel a few years before, and that got me the first place. There are so many things to talk about. Barnaby is absolutely my hero. He's an artist, he's a friend, he's a guru. Rob Kroll is my teacher of collecting things, and he is a bit the Australian Barnaby. Look at his slime mold tactics. He is a bit more subtle, but these little tactics are there. Peter Hansch is a friend from children time on, and it's fantastic to still be in contact across the Atlantic Ocean and to be united in this sport. Jonas Romblet did a MTA 30 years ago and is still the top level, and people want to achieve that excellence. Imagine that after 30 years, no one else did it before, and he did the standard in one go. Gary Broadbent is an absolutely fun guy, and I can't wait to see him doing the next auction again. Mike Gell is one of the people I always wanted to meet. I couldn't believe how great his stories were when I read them, and I can't believe that he just started tournaments when he just was a beginner and did 100 of them. Do it like Mike Gell. I wish I could meet him again. I just heard from John Flynn that he is doing really well, and I met him in '86, only 3 years after I started Boomerangs, and this might be a longer answer, but I have to tell you this. In '86 there was a student exchange, and I was part of it, and we went to New Jersey. That one day we went to Washington DC, and everybody of the whole group went to the mall and visited the museums and everything. And I don't know how, but I convinced my teacher to leave the group, and we went to visit Ben Ruhe. We went there for 3 hours, and in the end, my teacher said, "I didn't know you can speak English." My English was so bad. And I think it's much better now, and this is because of Boomerangs. This is because of Ben Ruhe. This is because of my teacher who brought me there. This made me pick my job. It's absolutely amazing. Ben Ruhe is the master. These two kinds of boomerangs sort of sum up pretty much what boomerangs have been to me. The fuzzy, of course, as a German model that everybody knows because it's so good and so iconic, and you can use it in almost every material and condition and everything. I love to do it for myself, and just yesterday it was great to see Oscar competing with it. So he is 2 years older than I was when I started, and it's fantastic to see him. So I had one for myself, I had one for him, and it worked great. And I just love this boomerang because of this iconic shape. And I have been using it for many, many years, I think 30 years now. Not this one, this is from 2016, one of the newest boomerangs I got. And this is almost quite the opposite. This goes back to May 13th, 95. And you can also see different kinds of Tapia stamps. Didier Bonin did quite a collection of those Tapia logos for his new book. Make sure you get one of these books. I think you can pre-order them already. Didier Bonin. And this is a time when my doublers were called space. The inner was inner space and the outside doubler was the outer space. And you can see by the blistering paint and everything, they have been in quite a few tournaments already. All of these tournaments with trick edge are the moment. All of these trick edge events are the moments with most of my concentration. Every time I stand in the circle, I go like, okay, what would I do if Ollie Teenhouse was on the line? Make him proud, do the throw and do the catch. Every single time, but it helps. trick edge, yes. People are better, people have higher scores, but nevertheless I do my best, and what else can we ask for? So this is the oldest doubling shape in phenolic I got, and then the newer one, you might know that, is a bit curved, but this is a real dinosaur from 95, as I said, and still intact. It's difficult to actually make the decision and the preparation to visit your first event when it's out of town. Of course it's much easier when it's in town. And of course it would be much easier if we have local associations. And of course this asks all of us boomerang throwers to offer something in your city. You live in your city and you throw boomerangs, but do the others know it? So maybe make it known. It's still the same thing. Do what you do, but tell people about it, so maybe they can come, and then the hesitation, because it's in the same city, is not so big. And even if it's not in the same city, this one day people might think, wow, boomerangs is cool, I saw it online, and we know online is the main source of information. Who of the newbies goes out and orders books? So things are online, and as we know, sometimes they are way too perfect. And it can be very discouraging. Looking at those guys, I mean, I'm a newbie and I watch Manu doing 200 like it's nothing. And then I should go and compete with him? Maybe not. So we try to also show some of the others in the video we did on this weekend. But when people come to a tournament, they can speak to real people, and they don't have to compare themselves with the best, but with other people of same age or same experience. Maybe they started last year, you started last year. Don't compare yourself to Alejo and Alex and Frido. Compare yourself to them. And you only learn that when you really go out. Because these newbies might not be the people putting out those fantastic videos online that you just saw. So you might be comparing yourself to the wrong people. Go out, see the real people, and just learn how to compete in different conditions. When the sun is blinding and the wind is pushing and all this, you won't do your 90. You might do way less, but you still have great fun. Yeah. Boomerang sport, as other small sports, have the problem that if you didn't make it into public awareness already, it's very difficult to make it now. Sport is a business, and you see when there's a soccer Euro Cup, then people watch it, maybe even they don't want to or something, but they have it. I start again.
Let's try again. Repeat the question?
No. Small sports have the problem that if you haven't already made it to public awareness, it's difficult to find it now. Of course we can put out websites and video channels and everything, but if we hit 100 people, it might be a lot. Maybe you hit 1,000, it might be a lot. But ask yourself, do you have a bike, but are you a member of a bike club? Do you have a kitchen, but are you a member of a cooking club? So you might have a boomerang, but you might not be, and why should you, be a member of a boomerang club? What does it offer? What can we offer? What should we offer the people to get them together again? Of course it's events out there. Of course it's maybe virtual events in times of pandemics. And as I strongly believe we did our best with the manpower and womanpower we had to continue our sport to be somehow alive. And this weekend here in Laval might be a restart for our sport. People might come out of their houses again, go out on the field, might not be afraid to show strangers their boomerangs, give it in their hands and take it back. So I think we should really ask ourselves, what can we do to create awareness of what we are doing? It might not build up numbers, but it might keep us alive. And maybe this is enough for the moment. We have jobs, we have families, we have tests to do in university. We are not professionals, but this is not a reason to say nothing is happening and what we do is worthless. It is not. If we stop, that might be not only worthless but hopeless. But as long as we continue doing something, I think this is what we can do.